coffee and today's guest here with me, so we're ready to roll. Welcome to our Circular Coffee Break podcast, where we will be talking about everything circular and beyond. Now, we'll love to hear from you, and we want to know what you think about the podcast, about the topics that we're discussing. So you can tell us by leaving a comment on our website, circularcoffeebreak.com, or by sending us an email at circularcoffeebreak@gmail.com. Your ideas help us to choose what to talk about and make sure that the podcast is helpful, insightful, and interesting for all of you. So let's keep on going the dialogue and make sure that we really choose the topics that can help us make the world more circular. Now, grab your coffee, get comfortable, and let's get started with the conversation. Our guest today is a seasoned strategy and sustainability professional with more than 15 years of experience in academia and research, management consulting, and corporate leadership. From 2010 to 2016, she worked as a researcher at Lund University in Lappeenranta and Hanken, focusing her research on innovation, business development, and strategic renewal. Following the completion of her PhD in Innovation and Technology Management and some time as a postdoc researcher, she switched into management consulting and worked for Talent Vectia and Reactor in strategy and management consulting from 2016 to 2020. In 2020, she joined Lindström. Lindström, for those of you not aware, is a forerunner in circular and sustainable textile services with a turnover of close to 500 million euros and operations in more than 20 countries. At Lindström, she currently holds the position of Senior Vice President, Strategy and Sustainability. She's a member of the Lindström Group Management Team and has responsible for two of the group's must-wins, sustainable solutions and agile operating model. Additionally, she's a board member at Arctia, which is the company that's operating the Finnish icebreaker fleet. Welcome to the show, Kati Pallasaho.
Thanks a lot, Michael, for the invitation. Great to be here with you today.
Perfect. Great to have you. And I think, to get us started, your role is strategy and sustainability, which I think is not necessarily the most common combination yet, but I believe a very important combination because sustainability is a strategic topic and will have an influence on many strategic dimensions of the company. So how do you integrate circular economy principles into your strategic planning and business operations at Lindström?
Thanks, Michael. That's a great question. If you don't mind, I'll start with a short introduction first of Lindström and the Lindström business model. So Lindström is a textile service provider. So we provide textiles as a service for our business-to-business customers. So our customers, for example, they are in different kind of manufacturing industries, pharmaceuticals manufacturing, healthcare services, hotels and restaurants, and so forth. And what we offer are, for example, workwear as a service for the employees of our customers. We also offer different type of hotel textiles, like, for example, linen, towels, bathrobes for our hotel customers. Also for public spaces, we also offer mats and so forth. And like I said, all these we offer as a service. So it's a product as a service business model that we have. And circular economy or circular economy principles are what our business model is built upon. So starting first, for example, from the product design, we design our products for longevity, meaning that they would be lasting in use as long as possible. Also, we design them for reusability, repairability, recyclability. We have also, for example, invested in our own production capability, meaning that we are able to produce very, let's say, small batches of new workwear for our customers if needed. In our services, it's also included that we repair the textiles and also that we recycle them. And at the end of the life cycle, we have different kind of solutions for the end of life textiles. upcycling, downcycling, recycling, and so forth. So whatever comes to the further development of our business model in the different services that we offer, very much the circular economy principles are guiding the further development of our offering.
Excellent. And maybe a question related to that, because the term circular economy is relatively new. So if you go back, I don't know, as far as 10 years, if you would have brought to a client a repaired workwear or towel or whatever, they would have looked at you weirdly and basically would have most likely asked you if you wanted to save cost. Whereas nowadays, it's actually very often a requirement by customers to incorporate these circular economy principles. What is your perception of also how the customers of Lindström are picking up and reacting to these circular economy principles, to these as a service models, to these repair models, to this approach that you have been, I think, championing in the industry already for quite a while?
Yeah, so last year we turned 175 years. And for the past 100 years, we have been operating with this kind of a textiles as a service, product as a service kind of a business model. And many of our customer relationships, they are already decades old or young, however you wish to phrase it. So our customers are actually very used to us repairing the garments. And that is also one reason why they are choosing us, so that we're able to prolong the lifetime of the textiles. We are able to reduce overconsumption of the textiles. We are able to save natural resources. So from this point of view, sustainability, circularity, repairability, reusability, these are important also criteria, decision-making criteria for our customers.
Okay, interesting. So you just mentioned circularity is basically at the heart of what you do at Lindström. Do you have some examples of new topics, new ideas that you're working on around circular economy at Lindström, and maybe also how do you see or how do you measure the impact that you're having, the environmental impact, but also the company's top and bottom line impact that's resulting out of the circularity focus that you have?
Sure. So if I start first with these strategic KPIs that we have, because sustainability, that being integrated into our strategy, so that means that we also have some circular KPIs as we monitor part of our strategy execution and progress with that. So for circularity, we have two KPIs. One is the end-of-life textile recycling, and then the other one is the recycled or bio-based fibers in our products, textile products that we purchase. So for 2025, we have set the goal that we want to recycle 100% of our end-of-life textiles. Last year, our result was 74%. So doing really well now toward that 2025 goal. Of course, still work to be done, and we need to improve. But we have started basically from zero back in 2019 when we launched our strategy. So from zero, we have gotten to 74% in our end-of-life textile recycling. And then what comes to the recycled materials in our textiles, last year, 18% of the products that we purchased, the different kind of textiles that we purchased, they included recycled materials. So already there we are doing quite nicely. And to give you one concrete example, the mats that we offer as a service for the public spaces, for example, as of now, our mats, they will be made out of 75% of recycled fibers. So we have been able to increase the recycled content in the new mats that we offer to our customers. That is one concrete example of how we have been making progress in the products that we buy. Another example comes from India, where in another area we have been able to advance circularity, and that has to do with water, because we operate industrial scale laundry facilities. So in India, we have successfully been able to pilot water recycling, and that has led to really good results in a very scarce natural resource, as we all know that water is already now.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's interesting that you mentioned water. In one of the previous podcasts, we talked exactly about the circularity of water and how important that will be going forward, that will be one of the big topics going forward. Now, the targets you have, basically one is more on the feedstock side. So on the input side, the other is more on the output side. Naturally, in order to reach them, you need to cooperate across the organization. You need to have everyone on board, including suppliers, including customers, and everyone in between those two ends. How do you enable the cooperation across inside Lindström, like between the different departments, between the different service lines and so on, but also then with suppliers and with customers? Because I assume if you look at bio-based feedstocks or recycled feedstocks, you need to cooperate with suppliers to develop, to ensure that the materials meet your requirements quality-wise, but also other dimensions of the materials. How do you manage, how do you approach that cooperation?
Yes, that's correct. That a lot of collaboration, both internally and externally, need to be happening. With the suppliers, with our value chain, we have long relationships with them, open collaboration with them what comes to developing new type of materials. Very much looking forward to next week in Italy, visiting one of our suppliers and also learning more of what is it that they are doing, what kind of targets have they set also for fabric development in one of our service lines. What comes to, for example, our end-of-life textile recycling, we are not doing it ourselves. We have established a partner network that goes across almost all of our 23 operating countries. And like I said, we basically started from zero, and during the past 5 years, we have done a fantastic job in establishing a partner network with whom we are then able to recycle different kind of end-of-life products. Then what comes to the internal collaboration, of course, it's a tight collaboration between our product and service development teams, as well as our procurement and supply chain management, so that whatever kind of product category choices or product portfolio choices our product and service development teams make regarding, for example, the materials used in our textile products, that those then are translated to requirements toward our suppliers. Luckily, our customers, they are asking quite a bit already of the recyclability of our products, how we're handling with that, and then also of the materials that we are using. And if you think of the EU textile strategy, for example, that is a lot pushing forward also the circularity, recyclability, recycled content in the, or recycled material in the textile products.
Yeah, absolutely. I think a lot has really happened in that space, both from a regulatory, from a societal, from a customer point of view, developing into this direction of circularity and sustainability. Now, you talked about the value chain, like your suppliers and your customers, but in circularity, you very often also need to go down roads you haven't tested before, basically have cross-industry cooperations, basically work with industries that you haven't touched before, because your waste or your end-of-life materials could maybe be used in other industries. In that context, is that something you're also looking into, where you already have examples, or is that something that, as you're managing your value chain more end to end, something where you are not yet looking at other industries for cooperation?
Yes, so within our industry, for example, to be able to have recycled material in the workwear that we provide for the employees of our customers, we have had a multi-party collaboration with a recycling company, with a fabric manufacturer, and then also a manufacturer of the finished workwear products. also now we have initiated a very interesting recycling partnership that might actually be taking us toward closing the loop in another textile product category. So collaboration with one textile recycling company might actually end up with that recycling company then providing the recycled content as a feedstock for the manufacturing of new textile products. So closing the loop, going or moving more forward to textile type of recycling definitely requires multiple parties along the, let's say, not the value chain, but the circle to collaborate together.
Interesting. And I mean, there's a lot you read nowadays about the textile industry. Most recently, I've been reading that the recycling capacity can just not live up to the demand because there's so many textiles out there. On the other side, you read that the EU is working very heavily on the digital product passport initiative, which will also be impacting the textile industry. From your experience, what are the biggest challenges, but also in looking at the positive side, the opportunities you see for companies in the textile industry, specifically, as you said, I mean, for 100 years, you've already been not you personally, naturally, but Lindström has been working for 100 years in this area of services as a service models, with that basically pioneering a lot of the key principles of circularity. What are some of the learnings you take from that when it comes to challenges and opportunities in this transition towards circular economy in textile?
Yeah, I think that especially those who have been familiarizing with circular economy principles often first come to the conclusion that many of the things start with the product design. So how the different type of products are designed. Are they designed so that they can be at certain point during their life cycle repaired, for example? At the end of their life cycle, can the products be refurbished? Can they be resold, for example, or can there be adjacent services, like, for example, for the repairing of the products, or can the products be recycled at the end of their life cycle if they can't be refurbished, for example? So a lot starts with the product design, how the products are designed, and how also the materials are chosen. And I think that there is big opportunity there to make wiser choices for the planet, for the environment, when it comes to the product design and the material choices. But how the other side of the coin is that if those choices are not made wisely, then one of the challenge that then when a product comes to the end of the life cycle is that if it is, for example, manufactured of mixed materials, it's very difficult to recycle it. Because, for example, in the textile industry, in the textiles that we are wearing, the garments, the clothes that we are wearing, if you look at the tag, there can be various different kind of materials that are being mixed. And basically, then there would need to be several different kind of recycling processes to be able to cater for those mixed materials and recycling them. So that's definitely one of the challenges, that maybe we need to harmonize a bit more the different kind of materials that we are using to allow for recyclability at the end of the life cycle of the products.
No, very, very interesting point. And we had some episodes back a discussion around Rayma and how they're approaching this. And I feel, based on what you're saying, you're naturally very strongly in the B2B space, which is very different from the B2C space, where colorful outfits and basically the latest modern type of textiles is always what's being bought, which I think in workwear is a little bit different, because there you have an approach. It's more on, it needs to basically hold the workday, the strains of the work. The same when you think about carpets, when you think about towels and all of that, it's more about longevity, making it functional so that it actually works. In that context, you don't expect your hand towel to have 20 different colors and 20 different materials in that context. How do you feel companies in the textile industry can maybe learn from this approach that you have to materials and all of that? Are there some learnings that you think could be applied in exactly as you said, in this context of mixed materials, but also as a service models to basically get started and make it interesting for the customers at the end of the day?
One way, of course, is to also educate the customers, educate the end users that we are very keen on, let's say, expressing ourselves, for example, with the clothes. Yes. But then when it is about the different colors or the latest in the fashion or the different materials, these kind of challenges that I brought up, they might then later arise when it comes to recycling of those materials. So if, for example, companies can educate customers that looking at the end of the life cycle of the products, it's a wiser choice if we don't have glitter or whatever different type of colors that then really make it difficult to recycle those products. Also, it's our responsibility as well as we are making choices, either as business decision makers or customers, to look at the different kind of materials that we are buying, and then also start asking for different kind of services. For example, what comes to repairing products, or being even able to borrow those or rent those instead of buying. I think that here in Finland, for example, S Group is doing wonderful work as they have now introduced this second-hand, pre-owned, pre-loved clothing store in their premises instead of selling brand new stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. How do you see the part of convenience? So recently I had a lot of discussions around circularity, but also the adoption of circular models by customers. And very often the point is like, if I have to basically take something, then bring it back, then basically pick it up again, and so on and so forth. It's basically very inconvenient. I don't want to do that. It basically makes it difficult for me. And I think the same might be true in your case. So for businesses, naturally, and as a service model is good on one side because it also shifts the cost model to some extent. But on the other side, naturally, instead of having paper towels that I can just throw away and then throw into the waste bin, the towel rolls basically need to be returned. They need to be picked up and so on and so forth. How have you approached that convenience factor, if you want, in the service models to make it easy for your customers to adopt the models?
Great question. So our service model and our value proposition, it's a full service. So rarely textile management is part of the core business for our customers. Exactly. So what we do is that we provide full service for our customers. The products, we rent them per the needs of the customers. And for example, if a customer's business would be growing, wholesale would be growing, or manufacturing facility would be growing, we are able to accommodate that, offering more textiles for more wholesale rooms or offering more textiles for the employees of our customers. Then what is also included in our service model is the delivery. So we take from our laundry the clean textiles to our customers, and then we pick up the used ones and take them back to our laundry, wash them, maintain them, repair them if needed. This is the transparent service cycle that we are able to offer to our customers. And this goes very much back to also service design. So in circular economy, how do you design for convenience so that the service experience is very seamless for the customer? And basically it's a carefree option for the customer so that there isn't any kind of, friction in the customer journey, which would then make it difficult for the customers to adopt these kind of as a service business models and value propositions, for example.
Interesting. And at the same time, it naturally increases complexity on your end, isn't it? Because it's not just the textile that you basically bring to the customer, but it's the full service model, including fleet management and everything that comes with that you need to basically look at when you basically look at a service, and with that also the sustainability factor of that side, I guess. How do you look at your services end to end from a sustainability? So not only circularity point of view, but also from a full sustainability point of view. Do you have specific measures that you use there, or how do you make sure that in the beginning, when a new service is conceptualized, all the way to when it is brought to the customer, that sustainability considerations are part of that process?
Yeah, so the circular economy principles, starting from the product design and how does our service operate and how our laundries are being run and how does the delivery service work to our customers, driving the textiles to our customers and then back to our laundries. All that, of course, needs to be taken into consideration as we're further developing our offering, or if we would be introducing new kind of services into our portfolio. For example, at the moment, we are working on building our comprehensive emission reduction roadmap to meet our climate targets. And there, end to end, we're looking at the service model, starting from what is it that we can do with our products to reduce their footprint, what is it that we can do in our service operations to reduce the emissions in our laundries, the energy that we are using, the electricity that we are using. Also, it has to do with water, like I mentioned earlier, as that being the critical resource for our operations. We're also looking at the delivery service. How is that operating? Can we, for example, optimize some of our routes? Can we change the fuels? Can we change the fleet to decarbonize in there? So very holistically, of course, we need to look, for example, from the climate perspective to be able to lower our footprint and then make our customers more sustainable.
Yeah, I think, and that naturally is something that's very important, to understand the end-to-end process and really start optimizing the end-to-end process. I would like to come back to one topic you mentioned earlier, like the external positioning, the communication, or what I would call the advocacy for circularity and sustainability, because I feel Lindström has been taking a very active role in also to the outside world in promoting circularity, sustainability principles, naturally you personally, but also Lindström as a company. At the same time, we spoke about there's a lot going on currently on various levels, societal, regulatory, investor community, and so on. How do you see the role of companies in driving this change that we're looking at? Because it's systemic change. It's not just one company that needs to change, but it's a whole basically business ecosystem or economies that need to change. How do you see the roles of companies, but also how have you defined the role of Lindström in this driving the systemic change, the broader change in that context?
Yeah, I think it was in VTT's latest trend report that circular economy was mentioned as one of these mega trends. Yes. So definitely awareness is building up, and there is more talk about circular economy, so it's becoming like mainstream. Are we making changes fast enough in the business models of companies? I don't think so, because then if you look at the circularity gap reports, for example, more than 90% of the materials that we are using, they are not recycled, for example. So we're still throwing a lot of stuff away. Like with climate action, for example, companies need to be vocal of the need to change. And at Lindström, we have positioned ourselves so that we want to be the forerunner in circular textile services. And also for that reason, we are speaking a lot about our business model, and hopefully that will also then inspire other companies to take actions. And I at least try to be very practical always when talking about our circular business model and what kind of choices and decisions or principles are associated with the development of our business model. So hopefully that would then also help other companies in their journey.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Now, looking a little bit into the future, what are some of the trends and innovations in circular economy that you're following? And we have entrepreneurs listening to our podcast. What are the topics you see as basically the emerging topics? And how are you at Lindström preparing to leverage some of these opportunities?
I am following, of course, the materials development, how different kind of materials, fibers that we are, for example, using in our textile products, how they are developing, what kind of maybe new innovations are being introduced to the market, either what comes to completely new type of fibers or recycled materials. Second thing that I'm closely following is how are the different type of recycling technologies developing. The mixed materials, those we discussed earlier, those at the moment are quite challenging to recycle, but there are some very interesting innovations also in the field of textile recycling now happening. Thirdly, keenly following on what is happening in data and in AI field. For example, if we are collecting data of different kind of products to understand their material composition or their lifetime or how they are being used, how then that data can feed into, for example, product design or better understanding that how can we prolong the lifetime of the product. So those are definitely something that keen on following at the moment.
Perfect. Thanks a lot. The coffee is unfortunately empty and it's time to wrap up the episode of the Circular Coffee Break. Thanks a lot, Kati, for joining us today and for sharing your insights. Really interesting.
Thanks a lot. This has been an absolute pleasure.
Great. Thank you. And thanks to all of you listening out there for today's episode of the Circular Coffee Break. As always, we hope you found our discussions both thought-provoking and at the same time uplifting. If you enjoy our show, please support us by giving us a 5-star rating and a positive review on platforms like Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you're downloading your podcast. Your support is actually crucial for us to grow the Circular Coffee Break community and spread the word around best circular economy practices. As Kati said, it's always important to show people what has been done and what can be done in this space. Don't forget to subscribe so you won't miss out on new episodes that are released on a bi-weekly basis. There's a lot of guests already lined up that will be coming. So from that point of view, please subscribe and make sure you listen also to future episodes. Your engagement, your feedback, your likes, your downloads is actually what fuels our journey in the world of sustainability and in producing the podcast. With that, thanks again for listening, and I'm looking forward to seeing all of you here at the Circular Coffee Break podcast.